The EIDL grant program is still being rolled out for most people, and unfortunately this entire thing is much slower than anyone expected or anyone had possibly hoped. Just a few days back, we received some data that was just released by the SBA showing only 89,000 EIDL targeted advances had actually been approved and funded as of about 1 million legitimate applications. And this is pretty frustrating. Less than 10% had actually been approved, and many people, myself included, are not satisfied about this. However, I want to do my part here to keep everyone updated on this and talk about some new data that we have released from the SBA, as well as what these numbers mean for everyone waiting on the grant or those who haven't yet applied, because we can actually look at this data as frustrating as it is, there is a silver lining here that actually will help out businesses who hit all the criteria more than hurt. However, the timeline here is just longer than anyone had hoped. But I suppose I would rather $10,000 2 months from now than no $10,000. Like it's as simple as that. So a new report coming out today shows an increase of 9,774 new targeted EIDL advances that were actually approved. So we can add onto that 89,000 figure, 9,000 to a total of just under 100,000 approved EIDL targeted grants, that $10,000 grant. And that's a total of $87.9 million, and that's as of the report last week. So the new total funded is now $821 million. That's about an 11% increase on approvals. However, the starting number is pretty small, so an 11% increase. You know, as good as that is in 1 week, that's a solid increase, but we still have a lot to go. You know, if there's 1 million applications, about 100,000 have been approved, then 900,000 left to still be approved. But given this situation, I wanted to highlight an opportunity that has arisen, and the SBA has confirmed that yes, indeed, this is an opportunity, and there's actually a silver lining here. The low approval rates and the low number of applicants who actually applied for this program is actually great news for anyone who hits the needed criteria for this program, especially those who didn't apply before that deadline of December 27th. As of right now, if you didn't apply before December 27th, you're not even being considered for the $10,000 EIDL targeted advance or the $5,000 supplemental targeted advance. You're not even in the running here. But this will change because of all the funding that will be left here. So if you've yet to apply at all for the EIDL loan, the EIDL advance, I believe that right now is the best time to apply, right before the program opens up to all new applicants, because this will put you first in line on the approvals, of course, after those who already applied before December 27th. Basically, how it works right now is those who applied last year and received the $1,000 per employee are the first to be processed for the targeted EIDL. And then the next group is those who have applied, but they applied after the funding had already run out for the $1,000 per employee. And then very soon, the next group will come into play, which is anyone who applied after December 27th. And that's why I'm saying now is the perfect time to apply if you haven't yet. So if you hit all of the following criteria, there's a very strong likelihood that you'll receive that $10,000 to $15,000. However, when you can receive this, I don't even want to guess how long all this is going to take to process. The last thing I want to do is say expect it in 2 weeks when really it might be 3 months. We really just don't know. I don't even want to guess how long it's going to take to process all these. But if you hit all the following criteria, there's a very, very strong probability that you will receive the full $10,000 to $15,000. So first off, you file your 2019 taxes and you reported your business income. This is because, of course, they're going to request a tax return transcript from the IRS, so you need that 2019 return filed. You don't have to have 2020 filed yet in order to get this. They verify all your information based on 2019 as of right now. Next, you want to make sure that your business is located in that low income census tract. If you're not located in that, there's really no wiggle room here. Even if you're located 3 steps away, even if your neighbor is in a low income census tract, unfortunately, they are very rigid with this. I haven't seen anyone get through this in a non-low income census tract. It's very, very defined in the actual stimulus bill how a low income census tract is determined. You can check out the SBA's map. I'll have that linked in the description to see if your address qualifies or not. Basically, if you're not in a low-income census tract as of right now, there's kind of not even a point in trying to apply because you're just going to be auto-declined. But If you hit those two criteria and then the following, you have 300 or fewer employees, then you will be eligible for the 10,000. And then if you have even fewer employees or of 10 or less, you may be eligible for the $5,000 supplemental targeted advance as well. And what I see happening here is we're going to see a situation where basically everyone who gets the $10,000 EIDL advance will likely also receive the $5,000. And that's because of the low number of people who actually applied for this program. If 1 million businesses applied for this program, that works out pretty darn well because there's $5 billion allocated for the additional $5,000. 5 billion divided by 5,000 is 1 million. So there's a very strong likelihood that if you get that 10,000, you will also get the 5,000, so long as you hit the other criteria of having 10 or fewer employees and the gross revenue reduction. So for the $10,000 EIDL grant, you need to have the 30% reduction of economic loss over a 2-month period. And that period is a 2-month period after March 2020 compared to a 2-month period prior to March 2020. So you need to see a 30% reduction for the $10,000 EIDL advance, and then a 50% reduction for the supplemental targeted EIDL advance. They're just making these titles longer and longer. So if you hit both of those, if you're at 50% or more, very strong likelihood that you'll also receive that $5,000. And then here's a tip. So when you're completing the application, in order to apply for the advance, you actually have to apply for the loan. So if you've yet to apply for any of this, you'll want to apply for the loan. If you've already applied for the loan after December 27th, you can actually consider yourself already in queue to be processed for the $10,000 targeted EIDL advance once they roll that out to all new applicants. So if you've already applied for the loan, if you've already received the loan, you're already good to go. You don't have to do anything else until the SBA reaches out to you, sends you an email for the targeted EIDL advance. You're already signed up. So in order to apply, you have to actually apply for the loan. Even if you don't want the loan, you don't have to accept the loan if you are approved for it. But when you're applying for the loan, you want to make sure that your annual gross revenue and your costs of goods sold are consistent with your 2019 tax return. The reason for this is if there's a 25% or greater discrepancy between what you report and what is on your tax return, you get thrown in the bucket of additional processing. And the last thing you want to do is be in the bucket of additional processing at the SBA, because I mean, that is like Mariana's Trench for applications. You are not getting out of that for a long time. So make sure your numbers are accurate compared to your tax return. That way you can go through this without a hitch. I don't even know how long it's going to take. So just for those applications that have a greater variance from their tax return. Also remember, if you've yet to apply for the EIDL loan, there will be a hard credit pull when you apply. So just be aware there'll be a hard credit pull if you end up applying for the loan, which is also the application for the targeted EIDL grant. And if your credit score is below 570, you're automatically going to be declined the loan. However, this doesn't automatically decline you the advance. Even the $10,000 advance, even the $5,000 advance. There's no credit requirement for that. You do not have to be approved for the loan in order to get the advance, even though there's this weird process where you have to apply for the loan in order to also apply for the advance. So it's kind of a strange process. If your credit score is 570 or higher, then your loan application is going to continue processing. And then once you're approved based on whatever your revenues and your cost of goods sold is, once you're approved, you'll get sent an offer for the EIDL loan, at which that point you can decide whether you want to actually take the loan or not. The terms are pretty good on the loan, 3.75% interest, 30-year term. However, do you want debt if you don't need debt? In my opinion, I don't want additional debt, so I actually didn't take the EIDL loan because I just didn't need additional debt. I know a lot of people are taking it. It's very good terms as far as a loan goes, so use your own discrepancy for that. Of course, this is not financial advice in any way. So again, you do not have to be approved for the loan. You don't even have to take the loan in order to be considered for the EIDL targeted advance. So you apply for that loan, and then once it's open up to all new applicants, you'll be sent an email in order to do the further action for that $10,000 targeted advance, and then after that you'll receive an email for the $5,000 target advance, which has that even more pared down criteria that we mentioned earlier. Now I know many of you have already applied, and some have even been denied wrongfully. I know I've seen several comments and several messages saying like, hey, I hit all the criteria, I was denied. Now I also want to kind of highlight a silver lining for those people as well if you're in one of those buckets. So if you already applied and you hit all of the required criteria, there's still a high probability that you will receive funding, again because there's so much funding still left in this program. Even if you've been declined, if you've been wrongfully declined, there's a process already in order to be reevaluated. And as long as you hit all that criteria, the needed criteria, you will be funded. All you have to do is send in some proof. You will be funded. I know that this is frustrating that you have to add on to the process. There's more delays. You have to work for it more, but it's the kind of thing like if you hit all the criteria, work for it a little bit and get it. Just get it, make it happen. So in order to be reevaluated, all you have to do is email targeted advanced reevaluation at sba.gov. I'll put this all on the screen. And then the instructions when sending the email, use the subject line, reevaluation request for, and then your 10-digit application number. And then you just want to include identifying information for your business, your application number, your business name, your business address, the business owner's names, and the business phone number. And then include an explanation of why you were declined and the documents and reasoning why you should not have been declined. That gets processed, and then you can get the reevaluation, get your $10,000, and then be considered for an additional $5,000 for a total of $15,000, which is extremely exciting. And I can't wait for people to actually start receiving the deposits there, and then we can kind of see the finish line here. I know it's going to be a while yet, but I will be with you through this process. So make sure you're subscribed. That way you don't miss any updates or changes on these programs as they come out. So I wanted to thank you so much for watching. I hope you get funding, and I hope you have a profitable day.